Hi, I'm the Crazy Hawk, Blackstone Athlete's first ever Spartan race athlete.
I'm Thea Renee.
And you are watching Muscle Sport Magazine TV.
And right now, I would like to welcome to MSTV Paranormal Investigator and Spartan athlete, Mr. Nick Groff. Nick, what's going on today?
What's up, man? How you doing? How's everything?
Good, man. Obviously, you're used to lockdowns, but in a different capacity, with the COVID going on. So, first of all, how is, I know you're just like myself, wife and children, everybody, the family safe and sound and everything's good over there?
Yeah. No wife, but my kids are good. And everything's going great, man. No, seriously, I think, for me, it's just like, it's like a race, right? It's like the Spartan beast. Like I just competed in that last year. And I was talking to several different people about being locked down and quarantined and isolated. I'm like, this is second nature to me. For the last 5 years, I've been living in crazy locations for 4 days straight all over the world. So, it's kind of like a race of the mental capacity of like, when's the breaking point, mentally, when is the breaking point for us? But if you keep busy, you keep the mind, occupied, you keep healthy and fit, like meaning nutrition, food, dieting. I started taking Juice Plus, which is a whole food, it's all greens and grains and fruits. And I'm getting all my immune system up and boosted so I can kind of fight whatever I get. And just working out on whatever I have, just working out, running in place, jumping jacks, burpees. It doesn't matter. Flipping a tire outside. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what I've been doing. So everyone's healthy. Everyone's good. Good.
That's the main thing, because this stuff's scary, especially, with kids involved. You want to make sure that they're safe and everything. But you have had such, and you're still, in the middle of it. You've had a great career. You're a television personality. We'll start with the ghost stuff, and I definitely obviously want to talk about the Spartan stuff too, because I give you guys credit. And I was telling you, my friend Mike does that, who's a big part of our company here, and he lives out in Hawaii now. He's a Army veteran, and he takes videos himself running in the mountains in Hawaii. I mean, it's amazing. It's beautiful, scenery and everything, but just the races themselves are just, it's totally different from anything else. So I got to tip my cap to guys like yourself. But what initially got you involved? Now, I did read where you had like some kind of experience as a kid that, you wasn't sure if they were paranormal or not, but how did you make that into a career in getting on television, going back to '08 with the original Ghost Adventures documentary?
Yeah, it's interesting. So pretty much all my life, I've been fascinated in the paranormal and the supernatural and just the mysteries of the unknown. Actually, at a really young age, around 12 or 13, I'd listened to Art Bell out there in Nevada, and my sister's godparents actually would talk to me all the time about Area 51 and this and that. My sister's godparents' father helped build the bunkers, the hangars and stuff that at Area 51.
Very cool.
So it's really interesting, and I was that weird kid that would sit in my room with, remember old maps you would unfold and stuff?
Of course, yeah.
And I would look for Area 51, I was 13. My dad would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to Area 51 someday. It's not even marked on the map. So, I would go to like these weird locations around New England where I grew up. In this location in Massachusetts, this burnt down house, supposedly haunted, all this stuff. Me and my high school buddies, we go up there and look in, the abandoned windows and stuff like that. So I'm always kind of snooping around in like the creepy side of things, mysterious side of things, and interested in space and time and extraterrestrials and whatnot. So not until I went to college at UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and around 2001, I decided to take a spring break trip and take my roommate car and drive up north of Nevada, go into all the haunted mining towns and go as close as I can to Area 51, the town of Rachel, and so on. And then a couple of years later, I met two guys in Las Vegas. One I befriended, Aaron. The other one I met at a wedding, did my actually wedding back then. He was a wedding DJ. So I said, you guys want to go look for ghosts? And that's how kind of it all started. So it was just a fascination, man. I was just interested in like really truly seeing if ghosts existed. I wanted to see back then. I was young. I was trying to, go through my life journey and just interested, and that's kind of how Ghost Adventure started. I came up with the name, and I knew how to push the red button on the camera, and we just hit the road for a year straight, filming at all sorts of haunted locations. And I eventually edited and put together a narrative based on the evidence, like the weird stuff that we captured. We didn't even know what we were doing back then. It was just like filming stuff, filming our journey, and just seeing what happens. It was never intended to be like a TV show. It was never intended to be really anything but like, let's see what happens. And here's all these mini DV tapes back in 2005. And I put this narrative together, and then Sci-Fi ended up picking it up and did huge ratings. And then that sparked interest over at Travel Channel back in 2008 is when they picked it up for a series, and Ghost Adventures became a sensation, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Still going
huge.
on. You know, cable networks are interesting, right? Because there's a lot of different scenarios that come into play with politics and this and that, like anything else in this world, right? With corporations. So So I did that for 10 seasons. Created that, produced that, was in it, shot it, edited the first season, put it all together. I mean, it was crazy. It was honestly crazy. It was really cool. It was like 3 guys locked down in these cool locations, you know, dusk till dawn. Like, what you see is what you get. It was that I always wanted it to be raw and gritty and just, you know, just kind of like go through the momentum, and just, it was really cool. It was fun. And then after that, I you know, departed my ways for other reasons, and basically I just wanted to push the boundaries. You know, I'm always mentally and physically looking for the next challenge or the next boundary to push. And I just want to evolve as a human being. As I was getting older, I was sick of the redundancy. I was sick of so many different things, and I'm such a logical thinker, and I want to like break things down and try to have a balance. But there's so many things we just don't understand in this vast world we live in. So I created Paranormal Lockdown.
You hear that? Something's growling at us. Man, my whole body is shaking right now.
What was that?
Whoa. Shadow just moved into that room really fast.
Which was live at the location, don't leave, 72 hours, eat, breathe, sleep there at these massive locations with tons of history, and just see what happens when I'm vulnerable, or, you know, I get 4 hours of conscious sleep, 30 minutes of REM sleep out of the 72 hours of walking through locations, living there. Dude, it's wild. It was one of the most wildest, challenging things I've ever done in my life. Physically and mentally, I was just tapped after 4 days. It was crazy. So pretty much that's what I've been doing the last 5 years. And then now I'm moving on to a new series. You know, cable networks are interesting, right? Because there's a lot of different scenarios that come into play with politics and this and that, like anything else in this world, right? With corporations. So you know, Paranormal Lockdown did amazing. It was one of the highest rated shows on the network at the time, and was airing in England. We did 10 episodes in England, which was amazing, called Paranormal Lockdown UK. And then now I'm doing a new series called Nick Groff Investigates, which we just filmed at the end of last year, and it's going to be coming out really soon. So I'm really excited about this because I feel it's a different perspective.
You feel the energy come in waves and it just hits you, then suddenly things happen.
I saw something moving there, and I thought, well, nobody's in here but us. And I saw it, you know, kind of move toward the door. And
what was that? Something just started glowing back there.
This building, the history of this site. There's a whole lot there.
It's thinking outside the box, different theories, different ideas, different people with skepticism to believers to it's just really cool. And I feel like that's what life is about. You know, it is to communicate like this, cross paths with certain people, and just evolve as a human being with information that you can collect and gather and just become a better person in that nature, you know, ripple effect this universe for a positive before it's my time to go someday. So that's kind of my mentality right now.
Tell us a little bit about the new show. I don't know how much you can divulge, obvious for obvious reasons, but what's going to be the difference between this and your previous junctures in the paranormal?
Yeah, so Nick Groff Investigates is just a totally different perspective on my journey personally. It's just me going into these locations with just documented history. What's interesting is, so I go back to 2 locations that I've investigated personally for over a decade. So I've been to 2 locations multiple times for over a decade. And what I realized in this new series is what I thought was a ghost back in 2008 when I did Ghost Adventures. I did Paranormal Lockdown, lived at the location. I thought it was a ghost. Then I thought it was this. Then I thought it was that. But a decade later, here I am uncovering new information, new documentation, new theories about the ideas of these locations. So it's not like what we always think, like, you know, when we're waving around some equipment or pseudoscience or stuff like that, you know, that we believe is broken down into some science or something. But I feel like I get into the notion of like time, you know, how we create this time that we live in. And realistically, when you go into space, like time is irrelevant. And but it's interesting because, you know, we're born into this world and we die in this world. So there's that time, you know, that we have in our lives. So it's cool, the perspective we go in these locations where I'm uncovering some new theories about time. So when I was back there in the past, now in the present time on this new series, Nick Groff Investigates, I realized that possibly I was just talking to myself, capturing my name on a digital recorder, rather than it being a supposed ghost. So I'm hearing my name come through, Nick Groff, but now, today in the present time, in this new series, I'm like, wait a second, is this me? Because what happened is at a location, I saw myself walk into the room from back then, and here I am in my present time, seeing myself record, like, listen back to the recorder saying Nick Groff on Ghost Adventures back then, but now in the present time, I'm hearing it where I'm saying, wait, is it me right now saying it? But there's this time gap, this time slip happening in our universe. And I believe that's a possibility, big time. So we go into stuff like that. We go into different perspectives, theories, ideas about energy, the conscious thought, different vibrations, and it's just a totally different beast that we uncover, I feel. And I feel like it's more of a logical perspective. And I feel like that's what the paranormal community, in a sense, is missing, is more of this balance, you know? I feel like we're missing a balance of, I don't know. It's just, I see a lot of stuff like just running around, same old, you know, running around in the dark. A lot of yelling, screaming, running around in the dark. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's fun to watch. I guess it's entertaining in that sense for people at home. But I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know. There's not a lot that scares me these days. Like, I've slept in morgues for the night. I've been locked into places for days. I've done all sorts of stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I still get startled like anybody else at locations when something happens. You don't realize how that's happening. You know, it still fascinates me. And I think that's what it's all about. It's just pulling back the layers and just coming together as people to like try to discover something new, you know? Now,
would you classify what this new series is going to be? Is going to almost be debunking certain things, or is it just looking at it from a different angle?
Different angle. So I'm not going in to try to debunk or prove or anything of that perspective. I'm just going in to show different ideas so we can all think. You know, I think I don't want to prove anything at this point. I think, to me, it's just a matter of creating conversations with individuals, right? So like you and I could sit down, you could totally have a different perspective on this, just like I can, just based on our own experiences or whatnot. But like, we might not see eye to eye, but that's okay. Like, I feel like it's okay to talk and be cool and be civil and be like, you know what, but did you ever think of it this way? Like time as this, this, and this. I've had great conversations with people that are on the Nick Groff investigation series that, you know, they told me some ideas, and I was personally learning from some really smart people that had different views and different ideas. I'm like, awesome. That's interesting to me, and I didn't think of it that way. So then I started thinking, but that's really what Nick Groff Investigates is about, is just going in, just me, another camera guy, which is my cousin, and just documenting whatever happens, but telling the stories, telling the history, letting the people talk, the owners, the people who've had these experiences, and just communicating that information. And it's really interesting, it's just very fascinating and interesting.
And what channel is this going to be on again?
I'm going to release that really soon. So we're in
okay.
negotiation and talking right now, but you'll definitely be able to see it coming out here very soon. And I'll announce it and everything. But,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Definitely looking forward to that. And definitely going to be tuning in when that happens. One of the series that you did that I actually enjoyed a lot because it was different was Ghosts of Shepherdstown. And that was short-lived kind of.
Yeah. It was awesome.
I like, I'm a retired NYPD sergeant, so I really, to bring the cops in and it was a sergeant, I thought it was kind of cool. So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, so it was funny. I was when I was just on my show G Crew the other day, we brought back on the showrunner, the person who created it all. And it was funny. We had a great conversation about like how it all kind of like got kickstarted, right? So, they talk about like how they went there. So I was never involved in the production or anything like that, or the creation of the show. So what happened is I just departed Ghost Adventures. I was working on putting Paranormal Lockdown together at the time. So they called me and asked me to come to Shepherdstown and help them out, try to figure out what's going on with these 911 calls and all these weird things happening and this increase of paranormal activity and all these stories that are occurring. And I was really skeptical about it. I won't lie. Like I was like, I don't know. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like I'll be in control of like whatever's happening, and my face is going to be there. And I have a lot of like, it's me. I don't want to be like, I don't know. I
totally hear where you're coming from on that. Yep.
When someone else can edit the footage and then like edit me down and Frankenstein my bites to say what they want. And it's like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just not that person. So I'm pretty straightforward about things. And they were cool, though. They were really cool. So the showrunner calls me up to see her and she's like, look, I know. And I said, what, I don't fake stuff. I don't do this. And she's like, I know. And that's not what we want. I was like, okay, cool. We got that out of the way. And I'm like, don't try to pull a faster one on me because I know everything. So it was like a great, funny conversation. And I was like, I don't know still. I don't know if I want to do it. But what got me was exactly what you said. It was the police department is involved of Shepherdstown. I go, wait, what? So the police are involved. All right. So this is legitimate. Because I would imagine like going through like all the ropes and the hoops to actually have the police department and the town and the mayor involved. It's a legitimate thing. I would imagine, right? So I was like, my reaction was this. It was, wait, the police are involved? So, all right. So I can drive around with the cops. Yeah, we want you to ride along with the cops. And this, I go, I'm in. Hey, look, if I get to drive around with the cops, chase down people, and look for like maybe some like potential paranormal activity, like I'm down. Yeah. And I remember it was great because the first time I got in the car with one of the police officers, Chief King back then, I go, are we gonna chase someone down? Like we were like going really fast, hit the lights, we were doing something. I don't know. He would get calls on this. He's like, look, I don't want to chase anybody down. He's like, I'll leave that to you. You chase them down and get the the real people. Yeah. I was like, this is fun, man. I should have been doing this a long time ago. When I was young, I seriously considered, going in and trying to be in like a Green Beret when I was young, or Navy SEALs, because I was a swimmer. I grew up as a swimmer. My sister went on to miss the Olympics by a half a second in the backstroke, and I was competitive, and my sister's good friend, her roommate, Trina Jackson, went on to win the Olympics in, I think, 98, 96. And so that was my upbringing, is sports, swimming twice a day, so they would always try to recruit me at like 12 years old on, you know what I mean? The Navy SEALs. And I was like determined, man. So that was just like, I always wanted to do something adventurous and crazy and fun and riding with the cops and just like, looking for like weird stuff happening at all these historical locations, climbing into caves. I went in so many caves in season 2. It was amazing.
Very cool.
It was great. And I was really bummed when, it was kind of like one of those things that we didn't know that I guess they recasted everything. They just made a brand new Shepherdstown, and I hate saying casted because I don't feel like I wasn't cast. I was just asked to come and help, and that was the main reason I started Goes to Shepherdstown with with all my good friends, who I became really good friends with, Bill Hartley and Elizabeth Sane and Dana, who's the researcher there, and they're all from that area. And I was just, I don't know, it was like a little family unit that it became, and we were just filming 24/7, rolling with the police at their headquarters at our little historical church. We were just putting pieces together, and every time there was something happen, and we jump in the car and we go to it, and and I debunked so many things too. Like there was like a ton of cases about like, oh, this has happened. I was like, well, actually, it's this right here. It's a simple like, I don't know. It's a simple like, I don't know. I forget. It was like squirrel in the attic, or like like the window is open. It's blowing a draft in, or vents, or like being ripped on cloth. But there's so much footage that gets condensed into 43 minutes, and what you see is like the best parts. So what you see when we're really investigating is us really investigating, real emotions, real investigations. And I loved it. I loved talking to people, hearing their stories, and giving them a shoulder to like be comfort in whatever was happening, and trying to figure out what was going on. And I was really upset, actually, really bummed when it just got cut. We didn't know that it was going on and stuff. But it's all good, man. I think that it's a part of life. Things happen. People have decisions, executives and stuff to make. And but it was the highest rated show ever for the history of that network at the time. Destination America. It was the #1. It broke 1 million viewers. It was insane. I didn't ever think it was going to be that big. I didn't even think it was going to be really much, to be honest. I thought it was going to be something where I go down there, I help them out, ride with the cops, have some fun while I'm developing Paranormal Lockdown to get ready to go. Like that. Paranormal Lockdown was my passion, like my second baby. Ghost Ventures was my first. Lockdown was my second, and then Shepherdstown happened. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. Yeah. I had no clue. Everyone just became friends, so I loved it, man. I really did. So
going back to Ghost Adventures, I mean, you guys kind of started out. I mean, there was Ghost Hunters, and there was a few other paranormal shows. There was one with from film in Britain. I forget the name of it.
Most Haunted. Yeah, it was
Most Haunted with the blonde lady. I remember that was the first one my wife started watching, and I'm like, "What are you watching this?" And then next thing I know, I'm over there. Oh wow, what's happening at the end of the commercial? You get all excited. So I got myself hooked, being one of those guys that didn't want to watch these shows. Yep. So we started watching Ghost Adventures pretty much from day one, I think. And I mean, you were you were executive producer. I mean, you had a lot going on. Like you was telling us, you started filming with the mini DVDs. I mean, Aaron was kind of just like the camera guy at the time. Yep. You and Zach were the two investigators, and it seemed like it was and added a few other guys over the years. Show was getting bigger, obviously. You guys were traveling overseas. You had some really cool international locations. Yep. I know you've probably been asked a million times, but it's like there had to be some kind of rift, almost like a Paul McCartney and John Lennon kind of thing.
Yeah.
Being notified of all this stuff happening when I didn't even know it was happening. I was blindsided, right? I was so blindsided to the point where I had tears in my eyes, dude.
I mean, like, I think with any, like, when you start as friends, there's always going to be, like, headbutting, right? Like, in any bands or whatever it is that becomes popular. Like, here's the thing, dude. I always remember where I came from. Like, I know my roots, and I am so freaking rooted into the ground. I'm definitely humbled at this point because I've been tainted by, like, the whole industry in a sense. Yeah. But, it's it's one of those things, man, where I never wanted to be the whole Hollywood BS. I just don't care. You know, I don't really care about like, look, I want to make a living and support my children, and I want to, you know, scrape by. But dude, I scrape by, man. It's like, you know, season 1, Ghost Adventures, I was carrying my camera through the airport. I was carrying all the mini DV tapes. You know, I was editing the freaking season 1. Like, I was doing everything, going over the evidence, filming it, being on camera when camera swings to me or whatever, you know, investigating it. It was a lot.
Sure.
And I loved every second of it. And like I said, it was my first baby. And Aaron and I were best friends for years before I even met Zach. So when I met Zach, you know, it was just kind of like we just met getting to know each other, but I didn't really know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then through the years, you know, we were cool. We became like cool friends and stuff. And I called him one day, said, hey, you want to look for ghosts? That's, like I said, that's how it started to kick it off. But, you know, both him and I convinced him, like, let's bring on Aaron. He's my good friend. He's funny. You know, like we were good friends. I don't know, man. I think people change when money's involved, when spotlights are on and things happen. You know what I mean? And whatever, like, it is what it is. It's old news at this point, but I think, everyone always wants like it to be in the box of what happened. And I feel like if I start talking about really what happened, it's going to be such a negative. That's not going to.
And I totally respect that. That's you're taking a high road. That's totally cool.
You know what? I had someone tell me once. I was my rep at one time. He said, like, you have 2 options. Just put your ego aside, go out and make something better, and just move on, or you can go to bat. And I was like, you know what, man? You know, I was like so heartbroken. Like, I'll be honest, I was so heartbroken. Sat there in my house that I just moved back to New Hampshire, had my second baby at the time, Holder, and I have to go through all this crap. Yeah. I have to go, like, be notified of all this stuff happening when I didn't even know it was happening. I was blindsided, right? I was so blindsided to the point where I had tears in my eyes, dude. And it's hard for me to really express from how it all occurred and start the story from the beginning, because it would be a long story of how it came. But it's just one of those things that, you know, it is what it is. And I had to just pick myself up after being swept and wrong, and basically say, you know what, I'm just going to keep living my life and do better. I can't let this be like the end game for me personally. So that's what I did. I was just like, I don't know. It was, man, it's hard when you're somebody and you put your blood, sweat, and tears and your passion to something, and you really are. I'm a loyal dude, such a loyal guy, and I've never done anything wrong to those dudes. And, you know, I think that's what hurt more than anything, is rather than like talking and communicating, it's just like, there's a lot of like stuff that goes on behind closed doors that you really don't realize until you like really get to know somebody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like any relationship or friends or anybody you meet some friends, they come and go in your life, and then it's on to new friends. It's like the loyal ones and the good people and the positive energy stay around forever. And that's just how I live my life. I'm getting too old for this crap. You know what I mean? I really am. I'm just so blunt about things now. I'm like, look, this is how I am. Yeah. Cool. You like me, you do. You don't. All right, let's move on. But I'm not a hateful person. I've tried to put all the baggage aside. I try to live my life now happy, so I have no regrets when I die someday. I just want to be positive. So I feel like that's it in a gist, trying to be as nice as possible. Yeah. Without, it's just like, I just have to like realize that, like, look, right now, if I just keep holding on to grudges and this and that, my life is going to be so filthy dirty, you know? And I don't want to be that person. There's enough of that crap going on. I just want to do better, like just keep bettering myself and keep evolving and putting out positive energy rather than like attacking and I'm not at war with anybody. Like, come on. Like,
that gets exhausting when that happens too.
It's exhausting, but like, right? It's exhausting when you have to put your energy out there and get on social media and start typing every day, waking up. How can I manipulate this? How can I, like, who cares? Yeah. Like, you got something to say. You know where I live. You know where I am. Like, just come say it. I'd rather like somebody cross paths with me and be civil. I'm not looking to fight anyone, but I mean, like, just come tell me, like. if you didn't like me right now, I'd rather you just tell me my face. We'll be done with it. I'll be like, cool, I was either right or wrong, and we'll talk about it and we'll get over it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just stupid. I don't need to be like, I'm not competing in the UFC. You know, I don't need to be like freaking sitting here, be like, you know, playing it up for a show and trying to like start arguments to be like the cooler looking dude on like, you know,
At the weigh-in,
the weigh-ins. You know, I love the weigh-ins. Trust me.
They're better than the fight sometimes.
Yeah. What's his name? Irish homeboy there. What's his
Conor
name? I just
McGregor.
totally went blank. Yeah, I love him, dude. I really do. I'm always rooting for him. Probably a lot of people hate him, but I love him.
Oh
But
yeah, he's great. And or the Diaz
he's a great
brothers.
mouth.
Either one. Yeah.
he's fun to watch, right?
He's phenomenal.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and he's a beast, man. He's a fighter, you know. He trains his ass off, but it's like, I don't know. That's my mentality, you know. It's like that. It's like, look, we can conversate, we can talk, we can get into like a riff, but I mean, if you really want to set something up, we can set something up and do charity fight. But I'm just not. I just don't care. You know what I mean? There comes a point where you just have to stop caring because it's too draining. I just have more important things to do.
Yeah, yeah. No,
You
well,
know,
you landed
like-
on your feet. It wasn't like you were, you got that. You were out of the business. It seems
Well,
like
I had
it.
to though. I had to land on my feet.
Of
Because,
course,
you
yeah.
know,
Well,
they
you know,
tried. They tried.
Ooh, all
Big
right.
time. Yeah.
But it sounds like you're saying it wasn't your decision. It was they're the ones that made this decision to have you leave the program.
Let's put it this way. I had no clue what was happening.
Oh, okay.
I was, yeah, I mean, I was wronged straight up. And
Yeah.
then there was little things, how they figured out how to get out of like things, you know. I don't know. It's weird. It's just a weird thing how it unfolded. I just not right. And, you know, it didn't happen once. It happened twice. So,
How did it happen twice?
well, paranormal lockdown's gone, right?
Oh, okay. I thought you were staying with Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No,
I wanted to
Ghost
talk to you
Hunters,
about
yeah.
that too. I mean, I got a lot of good stuff. I was preparing for this.
It's just the same scenario. I mean, it's just the same scenario. It's the same old. It's just, you know, it's crazy because I was told that paranormal lockdown. I mean, I'm being honest. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into paranormal lockdown, both projects. But paranormal lockdown, man, I went above and beyond.
I'm sure because you had a point to prove at that time. You were probably robotic on that one. Like this is gonna kill this show.
Yeah, I'm gonna live here. I'm gonna go to like when we run our Spartan beasts or we train hard or whatever, you know, us like in that mentality, like athletes and stuff. Like my mentality is insane when it comes to like where paranormal lockdown will go in the distance. What there's something in that morgue right there. All right, I'm gonna go in that morgue here. There's something down that tunnel. We're going down there, you know, without putting our life. You know, I know. Skate to the edge, but pull yourself back before you get too hurt. And obviously, you know, a lot of the environments were horrible to breathe in, so we're just cautious in that sense. But I just want to discover something new, man. I want to like be groundbreaking. I feel like that's what it's all about. What's the purpose? Like, if we can't live and be remembered as somebody that can like ripple affect this universe in an amazing thing like Tesla or Einstein or like amazing scientists, I want to be remembered like one of those dudes who like obviously their IQs are way better than mine, but book smart. But trust me, I will go the distance. I'm like a guy who's like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm 150% there on time, and I will do it. If I'm passionately in, I'm in on everything. So yeah man, I just I put everything I got into paranormal lockdown, and
There's something following me. You feel how cold it is all of a sudden? This thing's been following me down here. I want to try to connect with you right now.
What the?
it was amazing. Did 4 seasons, three seasons. It was up there. It was top notch. And then UK picked up, and then we went to the UK because there was a hold on a merger that was happening. So Discovery bought out Travel, and Discovery merged with Travel and became Discovery Incorporated. So their whole business changed. And obviously, my old show, Ghost Adventures, was still on Travel. So Paranormal Lockdown was supposed to come to Travel, and
So basically, all right. So you left Ghost Hunters, and I know you don't want to talk bad about him, so I'll do it for you. But to me, it seemed like Zach was a bit of a dick. I mean, I want to just bluntly put it. So you don't have to comment either way about that. But now you're a paranormal lockdown. Again, this is your idea again. Just like Ghost Hunters was your baby. You invented the name and created the name and all of that. You created Paranormal Lockdown. Katrina was basically she was on that, the Penn State show. She wasn't really a big name in the paranormal industry. You obviously were. To me, you were the star of that show. She was good too. I liked the way you guys had good chemistry together. It was cool, different concept. Like you said, you slept in. And those cots did not look comfortable, by the way.
No.
I know they weren't.
We slept on the floors.
In your clothes, you slept.
Oh, everything. Oh, yeah. There would be times where I'd be pulling out the cot and the leg was broken from its travel, right? So I'd be trying to unfold it at 4 a.m. in the morning or whatever. I'm like, I just need to sleep. And I'm by myself. Everyone's gone. It's just Katrina way on the other side of the asylum. I'm over here. Rob Safi, the camera operator, he left. So it's just me. And I'm like, F this kite, and I would just throw it, and I would just sleep on, put my sleeping bag on that, where they do lobotomies in the bottom of the basement of Trans-Allegheny Sandstone. Oh man, it was insane.
That's you're putting yourself into your work, literally. I mean, with that.
Oh, all the time. That's why I would come home after. So here's the thing: we would travel to the location, and right away the next morning. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, we come out later the night. I think that's 72 hours, 3 days, straight through. But that was it. Yeah. Filming constantly. I drag my camera around, film myself, film a lot of walking around, this and that, different experiments. Rob would come during the day throughout certain hours to film on our other high-tech camera. At the time, we learned how to change the IR sensor on the Red camera when it first came out. And the military were the only ones doing it, and they were working with us so we could see all dynamics of light. Because I wanted to look at different spectrums. Mm-hmm. So we were looking into it would do night vision and all dynamics of light letting into the iris on the aperture and stuff like that of the camera. So it was really interesting. That's why you would see Paranormal Lockdown. We were kind of the first ones to do that, where you would see stuff in color, but it's also in infrared too.
Yes.
It had the color grade of infrared you could change on the camera. But so our flashlights were in color, lights, whatever, any moonlight, all that stuff was in color. It was really cool. We captured a lot of interesting stuff doing it that way and also living at the locations. Mm-hmm. And I feel being vulnerable too. But Paranormal Lockdown started, obviously I was working on it and I felt like, it actually started like this. I was telling the network at the time, I'm like, look, I have this great idea. I would go dusk till dawn at these locations. What happens if I lived there for a whole month? That's how it started. I would live there for a whole month. And they're like, well, I think they thought I was crazy. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I want to see how far I can take it without breaking. Let's see how far I can go where I need to tap out. And they're like, I don't. How would you condense the footage? I'm like, all right. And then it basically sizzled down to 72 hours, which here's the facts. We'd film for 4 days straight. On the fourth day, we do wrap up in interviews and talk about our experiences. We look dead. When you watch us and cut to us talking about the experience, we look like we're just
you guys look shot. Yeah.
yeah. Because we haven't slept. There was sometimes I would be drinking coffee, and I never drank coffee in my life until Paranormal Lockdown. and I would be Rob be asking me questions, just Rob and I'd be drinking coffee, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it's hard to focus and regurgitate your experiences and stuff. But I guess, when I realized not just to validate, but I also want to put a female perspective in the front lines. I feel like that's what was missing in a lot of these paranormal shows is a female's perspective. And I was really striving for that. I felt like, there's a lot of male skewed. It was all males, right? Paranormal shows. Besides Host of Most Haunted at the time, way back when. But I feel like everybody was guys and running around and getting crazy and whatever. Yeah. And at times it felt like a WWE wrestling match, Royal Rumble. So I started looking at so many different people I felt would be great, but I don't know. I just didn't hit off with a lot of people, and I just felt like someone has to be able to roll with the punches with me. So I brought Katrina, or I had Katrina come to one of my events, Penhurst, Nick Groff tour, when I just started that in 2014, and we were doing a ton of events, and she lived in outside of Philly, so she came out to that, And basically, we just hit off. We were like, she was really cool. We hit off. We became like cool friends, and I started talking more and more and more weeks after week. So then I just said, all right, how about this? I include you into the reel, and I'll add you as the co-host, as the other investigator, and we'll be a duo. Like, I'm not above anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I want it to be equal. I'm all about equalism, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever the word is. And because I felt like a lot of the other stuff wasn't equal at the time. Like, nobody should be in front of anybody, I feel, when you're doing that together in that like that place. So that's how she basically got on, and you know, I basically really preached that to the network. That's who I want. That's who I want to work with. And they ended up liking her, and that was cool. And so I added her to the roster, and basically that was our team. It was her, me, and it was a really small team, you know, in season 1, and then season 2. I had Rob Safi just filming everything.
Yeah.
So it was cool. Yeah, that's how it all started. And then when we were doing Paranormal Lockdown the UK, I guess she was, I had no clue at the time, but she was approached to do the Portals to Hell show with Jack Osborne.
But Ozzy's kids doing that show with her now.
Yeah. And I had I didn't even know. I didn't even know about it. I didn't hear about it. But what happened is I'm friends with everybody. And owners and people at locations started calling me and saying, hey, you know, they're here filming. I didn't know she was doing that, because our Paranormal Lockdown was airing in the UK, and they were airing reruns, and season 3 didn't come out yet for Paranormal Lockdown season 3 in America.
Oh, okay.
And I had to push hard at that point for that one because of the merger. So they shelved it for a second to air it, to figure out, because they wanted to air it over at the new network at Travel. So that's what I was being told for months. And I kept fighting for it. And then finally they randomly aired it on some weird night on Destination America when everybody was already promoting Travel. So just kind of put it out there. And then UK came out with Paranormal Lockdown UK, and it did huge.
That was good. I loved the one with the jail. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed those episodes.
I feel like it was the most like logical, like if you're watching it from a perspective like at home. That's why I always try to put myself in it, like just being in your shoes, watching it, and not like I'm there or whatever. And just here's the thing: we have what was it, 7 terabytes of footage in 4 weeks, or I'm sorry, in 1 week. 7 terabytes, right, of footage that we condensed into 43 minutes.
A lot to go through, bro.
Dude, there's a lot. It's intense.
So what I did recently in Nick Groff Investigates is I went and I re-explored it, and I feel that it is a thought form right now, rather than a ghost, a negative person that died is haunting.
And our editing for delivering to condense it was short weeks because our production budget, like based on that, because it took like 3 editors and myself to oversee the whole thing. So like our weeks, dude, like nobody realizes this, like a budget is, man, like this based on everybody else's stuff. Like, but I didn't care about that. I'm like, we'll do it for almost nothing to do this great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's basically what it was about, you know, because it takes a team of people, like footage and logging the footage, and like it's just a lot. There's a lot of working wheels that go into it, but I'm really, really good at doing it. So I knew how we could break it down really easy and be gritty in a small crew and just flow together, you know what I mean, to get it done. Based on network standards and stuff like that, because you got to follow like a bunch of stuff. And, you know, so it was my production company that did it. We were in control of everything, and it was amazing. We just got like, it was amazing what we documented, man. I feel like we've really pushed paranormal forward with different experiments, different ideas, different engineers that we spoke to, worked with, different people in the paranormal community, different scientists, different theories, different pieces of equipment that was giving us better responses. Some not so much, and some we got amazing stuff that I have no clue still to this day how it's possible. For example, we lived at Bobby Mackey's Music World in Wilder, Kentucky. Right now we are at Bobby Mackey's Music World in Wilder, Kentucky, and I am standing in the basement with the one and the only Bobby. Thank you for meeting me back down here.
Thank you, Nick. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's been a crazy journey so far. Slept there. I built a hammock. I'm like, one day I'm like, I'm gonna sleep over the portal to hell. Oh wow! And I put it over the well in Bobby Mackey's, and that's when Katrina and I slept in the basement. If you guys watched the episode, I think it's on the line somewhere. But it's amazing. So we were sleeping down there, and I put a static night vision camera, mounted it on the ceiling, aiming towards the back of the basement where we captured a lot of stuff in the past. And I set up a bunch of equipment in like motion activated sensors and stuff like that in the well room. So I was in the hammock and we fell asleep. And I wasn't going to look at the footage the next day because I would set up all the static cameras everywhere, and then I would go back through the cameras and see what we captured in the morning when I'd wake up and I'm just sitting there by myself on our hard drive. But I don't know, something told me to do it, and I started looking, and then I'm scrubbing through and I see this weird anomaly start forming. And for 8 minutes, it like forms in the back, and it goes and it moves and this. And at first, I'm like, "What is this?" And I skipped through it and I fast forward, but I realized it was like when
something's
I was
up.
like, "Wait a second!" So I rewound, and I'm watching this thing. It's transparent how it starts. So I'm trying to figure out, wait, is that dust in the back? Is that something? You know, I'm trying to like rationalize with it, honestly. And then I start to realize it grows. It starts glowing. And then it goes and it drops down to where our other camera is positioned where Katrina's sleeping in her sleeping bag. And it goes down the trace of the camera, then rises up, goes over her sleeping bag, then down, then it goes all the way up and floats towards the camera in the ceiling. And when you see it past the camera, it looks like this ball of energy that has plasma around the outer layers of this glowing anomaly, and it's like tracing behind. And then what happens is it comes in, I think, to my room that sets and it triggers all the motion activated sensors and all the blinking lights. And then something woke me up and I jump out of my hammock. But it was amazing. Like that. I've been going to Bobby Mackey's for, like I said, a decade.
That's one of the most infamous places. A lot of the programs have gone there. Yeah, it's really big for that, you know, hauntings.
That opened up my mind to other possibilities, you know. And that right there is what did it for me to say, wow, maybe what we've been dealing with is more of a topa, an energy thought form that's been projected by us as human beings, produced into the environment, meaning thousands of people going there over the years saying, oh, there's something here. Oh, that's negative, this and that. So what I did recently in Nick Groff Investigates is I went and I re-explored it, and I feel that it is a thought form right now rather than a ghost, a negative person that died in his haunting or something. Because everyone always talks about negativity in that basement, and you feel it, trust me, and there has been negative, but I feel it's some sort of what I said, topa, this thing that was there, was there way before the foundation of the building. And I feel like it's grown into this energetic form over time by people saying there's something negative here. Oh, it's bad. Oh, this, that, this. And you do that long enough, it's gonna change and alter the environment. I swear to you, it does. And I feel that's what the energy form is now. It's a mirror image of whatever you're putting out into that environment. It gives it fivefold back to you. So that's what we explore in the new series for Nick Groff Investigates. It's hard to talk about because all these like weird journeys kind of cross over into each other. So it's the best way I can wrap it up. Yeah.
How many, I know you can't say where and when, but what are we looking at? Is it going to be within the calendar year of 2020 when the program
launches? It's coming out this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Good. Yeah. All right. That's phenomenal, man.
I'm also working on a documentary that's coming out this year. We're working on it now. It's the most amazing thing I've ever done, honestly. It's like, oh, it's so good. I don't even know how to describe it without giving away. So I've been working at this location for 4 years with the owner, with the property, with everything about it. And just wait till you see what we uncover. It's one of the most compelling stories I've ever worked on. It's super cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's a real life investigation.
Yeah.
So basically meaning there's no like, I don't know how to put it. There's no like investigating of like using pseudoscience or using equipment or anything like that. It's more of a real investigation like you would do if you went into a homicide scene and you went to investigate it. It's a real investigation in that sense. Cool. Yeah. So it's a super compelling documentary I have coming out very soon. And I'm in it and produce it and we put it together. So it's amazing, man. I'm really excited. I'm really excited because finally I can do, like, I'm doing these things that I have passion for, but also we financially did it all ourselves. Yeah. So we financially produced it ourselves. We did it ourselves. And it's awesome, man. VidiSpace is our streaming platform. Elizabeth Saint, and my cousin Justin Aragon, we co-created that with Elizabeth. And so VidiSpace, our streaming platform, we've been producing and putting out content on that. It's kind of like a Netflix, you know?
Yeah.
And we have tons of paranormal content, and we're producing a lot of stuff for that right now. But that was the companies that, you know, got behind it and worked on that and stuff. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like the Nick Groff Investigate show that we're doing now, the investigations are more driven on like that. Like I always say, picture us standing there, right? If you and I were just there, just us, and a camera was there to film us, right? And we're thinking about all the stuff we're talking about right now, but just picture it occurring in like the late 1800s or early 1900s there, when it's actually happening right now in operation, right? That's happening right now. And if we're saying time isn't relevant, but here we are in present, and maybe that's happening in the past because we call it the past because we're here right now.
Yeah.
But if you fold that over, what happens if it's still if that's happening and we're getting a little bit of that time slipping through, you know, to our reality, to their reality? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that's how we're feeling emotions sometimes. That's how stuff is lingering. That's how stuff is, I guess, embedded or slipping through in this like weird world we live in. I don't know. I believe like a lot of that's happening.
Yeah.
Energy's a real thing, man. We produce energy, kinetic energy when we move, the conscious thought. We don't even know how the whole entire brain works. We only use a certain percentage of it. You know, our sight, our sound, all the sensations we have, the nerve, you know, it's weird. But that's how I always put myself in like the shoes moving forward, is like, I don't know. It's very interesting to me.
What got you into the Spartan race?
So yeah, you know, I've been doing pretty much every sport since I was a kid. Grew up in a Taekwondo studio with all the, you know, the black belts and stuff like that. I did swimming from 8 to like 13 and so on. And then all soccer, basketball, all that stuff. And I don't know, I think mentally I just needed challenges in my life, you know, because when you do stuff like I'm doing like on Paranormal Lockdown or Ghost Ventures, and you have to push yourself and travel and go through this, I just needed a balance in my life to feel like, to get all that, like whatever was like the negativity or the environments or whatever, to like keep healthy and fit. So I started pushing myself. Really how it all started was I moved back to New England. I felt out of shape from traveling so much on Ghost Ventures, right? So I was sitting with a sprained ankle playing street basketball. I was like, man, I feel out of shape and I just feel sluggish. And I was sitting there icing my ankle in my kitchen, and I look up, and on the TV is American Ninja Warrior. This is way back in, I think it was 2000, I forget, 2011 or something. 2010. And I remember seeing American Ninja Warrior and saying, I'm going to go out for that. And that's pretty much, I put my mind to it. And I was like 205 at the time. So 6 months straight, I hit it hard. I couldn't even do like a pull up. I couldn't do a lot of things I thought I could do. You know, It was like insane. I was like, man, I've been an athlete all my life. What the heck is happening?
Like, traveling does it to you. You get thrown off your routine, and it's, you know, changes everything.
I was eating like crap too. I'll admit, I was eating like crap, eating too many hamburgers, on the
of
road,
course.
and
When you're on the road,
having having one or too many drinks or whatever. You know what I mean? When you're
I know
not
the
filming
feeling.
and whatnot. Yeah, man. So I just put myself to the test, and I dropped down to 180 just so I could do American Ninja Warrior, which is pretty crazy.
How tall are you?
6'1.5".
Oh,
yeah.
180.
So I was just shredded.
That's
I was
lean.
shredded.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It was a little too much, but I got down. I was like doing 30 pull-ups in a row. I was like in it to win it. My calluses, I blew out all my calluses bloody, so I could because I wasn't used to anything, So you gotta go through the pain, the suffering if you really want it that bad. I always tell people, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk, but it's like, how bad do you really want it?
Yep.
So I just put my mind to the mentality of, if I'm stranded on an island and those days go by and you function however you can with whatever you have, but after that, it's like, how bad do you really want to live and survive? So I kind of put myself in that. So I did that, and then finally I submitted a video, and I got accepted on American Ninja Warrior, and I went out for that, and I was on that in 2013, I think it was. I'm Nick Groff, 33 years old. You might have seen me on Ghost Adventures. I am the next American Ninja Warrior. I'm from New England, and I am at my top shape I've ever been in my life, and I cannot wait to conquer this course. Dad and I, we pushed ourselves in the gym to try to do all these obstacles that these guys are doing, and I can't wait to get out there and just test my abilities. So I was on the show for Ninja Warrior then, and then became good friends with Joe the Weatherman. Joe is like incredible athlete on American Ninja Warrior. And then after that, I submitted it again, and it's such a hard, it's a TV show at the end of the day, so it's such a hard thing to get on American Ninja Warrior. But I love the community, and I love all those guys who are on it. I mean, they're amazing athletes. So I decided I want something a little crazier. So I went out for the Spartan at Fenway Park in Boston, met Joe, the owner of Spartan, talked and chilled with his family for a bit. Then I created my own gym called Drive Health and Fitness back then in Methuen, Massachusetts. So I built a gym, made a gym for group training and all that stuff, fitness. Found our niche, and it blew up in it went up, huge in 3 years. So I sold it to some entrepreneurs, and now it's in Salem, New Hampshire, in a bigger facility. Now they're building a massive place in Salem, New Hampshire called Drive Custom Fit. So that gym I sold, and I was doing Spartan races through there, and I just decided to start training to go back out and do something crazy, Spartan Beast. And the reason I did that is because Mike Couch with Lost Limbs Foundation called me one day and said he wants to climb a mountain because he needs to push himself mentally and physically. Mm-hmm. So I created a new series that we stream on VidiSpace and on Amazon Prime called Unlimited Journey, where we raise all the money for children in need for prosthetics, amputee children. Yeah. And we give all the money to Lost Limbs Foundation when I promote it and stuff like that for his foundation. And The first episode was Mike and I and our team climbing Mount Washington, and it was crazy. It took us 13 hours. He did it on crutches and one leg.
Wow.
So it's intense. He strained his back a mile from the summit, and I had to run to the top, get help, and get a stretcher and pull him to the train, the cog railway train. It was intense. So you can see that episode. It's on VidiSpace and Amazon Prime. And then the second episode, I said, all right, next challenge we're going to do is we're going to run Spartan Beast. So I started bringing people I know. I brought Johnny Hauser, and Mike was going to do it. Then he got really sick, like deathly ill. So we based the whole episode around that, raised more money, and we did Spartan Beast and filmed it. And that episode we just premiered last week on VidiSpace. And it's going to be on Amazon Prime now too. But it's amazing episode to watch. So that's why we're doing them. That was the main reason. But it gave me a new outlook on, now I'm setting all these challenges, and it forces me now, because I kind of need that. I need that forcefulness of like, all right, I'm going to do this challenge and I'm going to do it. So I need to train really hard for it. And every day that's what I put my mind to. Mm-hmm. So the next one, we're going to swim a lake, I think a couple miles. So we're going to swim a lake.
Hey, old hat for you. You've been swimming your whole life, right?
I know. I'm going to bring my sister back. We announced it on the last episode, and we're going to bring Trina, who's an Olympian swimmer, in with us. And then Mike's going to be there, and kids from the Lost Limbs Foundation. We're going to do this whole thing, but it's all about the story. It's all about not just like this craziness of us doing these challenges. The challenges occur to raise awareness and money, but it's just about the story and the compelling like backgrounds and why we're doing this and how we train and how it's basically about, no matter how hard it is in life for you, never give up.
Yeah.
And no matter what you're going through in life, push forward with whatever you got to do to set challenges up for yourself to try to conquer those. Even if you fail those challenges, keep striving for something greater, something you can conquer, or just don't give up. Try it again and again until you do it. And then once you conquer it, give yourself another challenge. Just keep pushing. That's really what the show is about. I love it, man. I really, it's like one of my passions. I've really fallen in love with Unlimited Journey. So, yeah, we moved some of the events to November, so hopefully we can still do them in November, but we have events set up in November. We just pushed all events, and really at this point I really don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So, Nick Groff Tours we created back in 2014 with my partners Lee Kirkland, Jennifer Kirkland, and Jeff Waldridge, and pretty much anybody from all over the world comes out, and we go to locations that I've been to or haven't been to, and we all come together and break it down into small groups and investigate the locations through the night. And we do like a whole Q&A, so I'll sit there and we'll talk like this. I mean, I love it because it's very personable. We can share experiences, we can talk, we can conversate. And like I said, I feel like that's what it's about. So I've been doing that for a while, and we'll set a couple events during the year, and we'll release those events, and people can come out to them. So yeah,
all over the country. I just saw them.
All over the world. Yeah, there's people coming from Australia, England. I mean, man, I don't know. People say online when I first meet the people. It's funny. I'll pick up on their accents and I'll ask where most people are from. And it shocks me. People travel from all over the world.
Wow.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Good. That's Nick Groff, 2fstours.com is the website for that. And plug your podcast or wherever else the programming. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you. VidiSpace, so VIDI.space, if you want to put it in your website, your URL, just search that. You can subscribe. There's a 50% code right now for a yearly subscription. If you put in I love space, all capitalized, you can get 50% off. There's a 15-day free trial, over 500 films, movies, paranormal content, original shows. We're producing a ton of stuff right now. Unlimited Journey is on there. Also, G Crew is on there, a new show I'm doing right now. And we have our own Patreon page set up for the G Crew. It's going really good, actually. We have some amazing guests on. Like I said, from Trina Jackson, Olympian swimmer, to Joe from American Ninja Warrior, the host, Matt Eisman from American Ninja Warrior, John Zaffis, demonologist from Haunted Collectors.
Oh, I loved his show.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome. He's a good friend of mine. We had Dustin Perry on from Ghost Hunters. We just had Chris Williams on from Ghost Hunters, original Ghost Hunters. And also Man, we've had so many people. We had Johnny L. Tenney. He's a brainiac. He's an amazing person. You got to have John on. John Tenney. He's amazing.
He was the guy one of the guys that was with the Ghost Stalkers.
Yeah. Okay. So
All
he's
right.
the old guy. He has those amazing suits he wears.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew the name. It rang a bell when you said it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we had people like Steve Gonzalez on recently from his new show, Ghost Nation on Travel Channel. And I love to just bring everybody together. Like, I'll have anybody on. I love it because anybody with great, compelling stories to talk about, great life stories. It's so much fun. I don't know. It's like a good place. We do the G Crew. We had Bobby Mackey on. I went to Bobby Mackey's location. We did it from there. And a lot of great ones coming up. There's a huge one coming up. I'll announce really soon. It's super compelling. One of the most compelling stories that we had the privilege to be able to do coming up. But G Crew right now, you can go to all our social media. My link is in the bio on our social media on Instagram and stuff. And I'm posting a ton of stuff on there. But yeah, if you just search up our G Crew Patreon page or on my social media, you can find it. And it's only $1. You know, you can watch all episodes for $1.
I can't argue that one.
I don't know. Some people do. They're like $1. Dude, like we have to, you know how editing is? Like we're sitting around, we're editing, we're putting all these things together. Like it's a lot of work. And in the pictures and stuff we sign, we send, I just signed a ton of pictures for people that are our Patreon members. So it helps support the Patreon. We want to tour with the G Crew. Yeah. So in the future coming up, we're going to be announcing when we hit our 10,000 followers, we're gonna have like probably we're gonna have an announcement coming up on something really cool. Once quarantine is up, we'll be able to do them from a lot of locations and stuff. The show, so I love it, man. It's going really good. And like I said, Unlimited Journeys out. Nick Groff Investigates is coming out this year. Another documentary I have coming out, and then I'll talk more on that soon. But yeah, man, I'm just posting a ton on social media at the time. Just quarantine, working a lot.
You got a lot going on, and I think it's great. The new show is coming out, the movie, and you got all your other projects going on. Nick Groff, paranormal investigator extraordinaire and Spartan athlete. Thank you so much for joining us today on MSTV, and we shall see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
We'll be back right after this quick break.
Shut up and sit down.
Time for a little light workout outside. No whisk, get workout done at home. Have a great one.
Hi, I'm Michelle and you're watching MSTV.